Morning, I'm joined by young politicians who do understand the dynamics and the intricacies of social media. Are they using this to their advantage, or do they find themselves also grappling with the pitfalls of technologies and misinformation? On my extreme left, I have Shamim Nambasa. She is aspirant Lord Councillor, Woman Lord Councillor, Kawempe South. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I also have the National Publicity Secretary aspirant position. That is for the Entrepreneurs League, Mr. Ronald Kwesiga. You're from the highly contested entrepreneurs debacle within the national resistance movement. It was settled, was it?
The
Comfortably
top position.
settled, the top position. But for you, you have to fight for your democratically. Elizabeth Kemigisha, Advocacy and Policy Officer at FIDA Uganda. Gentlemen and ladies, many thanks for making it to Morning at NTV. Political campaign rhetoric in the age of social media, it is bound to either spill over, misinformation, malinformation, so to speak, outright deceit. But within all this lies the ability of those that are seeking office to be clear-headed and informed in order to serve. Let me begin with Mr. Ronald Kwesiga. Tell us about your experience and how this whole technology shift are shaping how you approach the campaign yourself, but most importantly, how you see your electorate.
All right, thank you very much for having me, and good morning to our viewers. Social media is an elephant in the room. It's not something we can escape from. It is a part of our lives, and it's now reshaping the entire political terrain. First, it's an avenue for sharing information, and that information could also be misinformation. So as we speak today, I've been privileged to participate in a campaign exercise that ran across the entire country. And during the process, I have come to learn that social media is an asset because it helps us reach out to the people more vividly. And the information that we disseminate on our messages has a bigger reach. Bigger reach in the sense that even the person who missed it can have a fallback position. They can always recollect onto it. And then it also creates room for engagement with the electorate. Because at the end of the day, if you are at a public rally, sometimes you may not get feedback. But social media gives you that advantage.
That is right.
So you communicate something, you're able to interact with your people, they'll give feedback, they give you room for correction, and they also give you their opinions. There are certain ideas that maybe you have not captured in your campaign trail. And as you go through, like ours in the Entrepreneurs League, it's an election that requires traversing the entire country. Different areas have different approaches to situation. They have different languages, different expectations and challenges. The advantage that we have here with social media is that you even have an opportunity for targeted audience. So when you have targeted audience, you can design a message and package it better for that audience. And it also cuts the challenge of language barrier. So people have a closer interaction with their candidate, unlike in the using the conventional methods. Of course, we have adopted the combination of the conventional and then the modern strategies of communication. But no doubt social media is a very powerful and fundamental tool that we cannot undermine in this whole campaign exercise.
Okay. Madam President, yes. I keep referring to you because of your earlier designation. You have used social media, I believe, over the different campaigns that you have been involved in, and it comes in handy right now, not the least because the National Unity Platform has been seen to engage so many young people through social media. I don't want to be the one to say it's not working for you or it's working, but yes. what's your take on, and how are you leveraging that?
Thank you so much, and good morning to everyone that is watching. My name is Shamim Nambasa. I'm the aspiring woman Lord Councillor to represent the people of Kawempe South and the National Unity Platform flag bearer in that regard. Yes, social media is a tool that I have used personally, but then the party actually does use quite a lot. And with a party like ours, whose activities have been limited to the headquarters, whose resource base is being shrinked by the state, it then means that we have to find alternatives of how we are actually going to reach the public. And social media has been one of them. If we look at the users, for example, you'll find that the report from UCC showed us that over 22 million plus GBs were being used worth of data on TikTok alone.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you look at WhatsApp with over 7.9 million, and then the other platforms that people continue to use. So even when you look at the smartphones that are being imported into the country, reaching over 20 million, that shows us that the Ugandan population is taking interest in what is going on. So social media is a platform, it is a tool that we continue to use for mobilization, information dissemination, holding people accountable. If we look at the March to Parliament, for example, we've carried out various exhibitions using social media as well. So social media is something that we continue to use, and I know that even the state might have picked interest in using it in disseminating propaganda and whatever. So it has become a platform for us to engage. It is also a platform for people to continue to interact and hold people accountable, pass on different modes of communication, and so many different things that are actually done using social media.
Okay, thank you very much. I would be remiss if I do not ask you, by the way, on the latest updates with regard to the whereabouts of Alex Waisob from Bureau. You are a top honcho within the National Unity Platform. I don't know whether you are one of those that receive briefs on a daily in the morning?
Well, I'm not that high as if I want to claim, but at least I'm informed about what could be happening. We saw Alex Waisomo from Bureau, who is our deputy spokesperson, abducted yesterday, and I use the word abducted because in the recent times we have seen ourselves shifting from a democracy where arrests are made, and it's now abductions, that people are picked by unknown individuals in unknown cars and taken to unknown places, until when we start to demand and push, that's when we get to know that so and so is in a particular place. We saw the case with Sebufu Eddie, also known as Eddie Mutwe. He was missing for over 7 days, only for the CDF to come out and say that he was in his basement learning Nyankole. And so we've also seen Alex Waisomo from Bureau being abducted, and as of yesterday we were informed that he was taken to his house for a house search without even a warrant to do that, which I know is not within the law. But then he was dropped at Chira police station and still not allowed to interact with his lawyers or his people. So as I know, as of this morning, he's still being held there unless otherwise, because things keep changing wherever we are. But then also it's important that we call out the state for these continued abductions. We have seen, we've read in history that in the times of Amin, this is what used to happen. But what is unfortunate is that we are experiencing this dictatorship in real time and at its highest peak. So people that claimed to be fighting previous regimes for what they were doing, abducting people, arresting people, killing people, holding people incommunicado, cannot be doing the same things that they actually did put themselves out to be fighting.
Okay, Elizabeth Kamgisha, from the policy and advocacy point of view, the incident that I've just asked Shamim Nambasa about, the arrest of Alex Waisomo from Bureau, was quickly shared across social media platforms, and many of these incidents have also been shared and widely spread, to the extent that the state or the operatives acting ostensibly on behalf of the state have absolutely no way to say we are not responsible for that. Yeah. Everyone sees it. The abduction has been conducted in the manner that seems to be the modus operandi for some members of the security forces or agencies. You must be looking at this from an observer's point of view and either saying we are taking a dive for the worst. I don't know whether that's the case, because we saw, for example, in the elections in the United States, people claimed that social media was big in influencing, but all this comes, these are two aspects, and my apologies for mixing them. The aspect of social media being used to influence the campaign processes. Talk to us about what you see. Is it what is taking Uganda forward? Do you basically look at it and like, we need to take a turn?
Yeah, so first really is to agree with everybody else who has spoken before me in agreeing that we are in an era that is extremely dangerous, right? That things are happening in real time. That you will see violations of rights happen in real time. You know, I've had many lawyers before say that it's actually now possible for you to have a court order and you will reach locus or where you're supposed to execute, and you can't, but you have a court order in hand. Of course, that's a very dangerous state of affairs to be in at this time, especially as we are thinking about elections. But more closely to the conversation today on the influence of social media on campaigning, I think it's shown us some of the things. It's influenced a lot of young people to pick interest in how the country is being run, right? We see a lot of young people that do not identify as activists, right? A civilian, a citizen, a young person somewhere working on whatever they are doing, picking up interest and wondering that they're picking up perhaps a political aspirant or opposition, someone from opposition, and getting whisked away in the middle of the day, and that we will see the media call it arrest, but we know that's not what an arrest is legally. So I will really call it what it is, which is kidnap, really, so abduction of people. So we see that social media, because of the influence it has on what is happening right now in the economy, on elections, on youth participation in those elections, we see that it's become almost impossible for people to be quiet. So it could be that they can't tweet that what has happened to Mufumbira is wrong, or whoever has been abducted before from the opposition, but they'll be able to retweet, right? And maybe comment, and maybe wonder, and maybe caution, and maybe, you know, pick concern. So somehow, because the algorithm keeps picking this up, then you start to see a lot of political discourse on the timeline, a lot of political interest of young people in what's happening, right? So also, secondly, I think we must also keep in mind that a lot of young people now are awake to what's happening, not just in Uganda, to what's happening in other African countries. We're aware of what was happening in Africa with in South Africa with Fismas Fall. We're aware of what was happening in Kenya. So there's a lot of also solidarity. There's a lot of inspiration going around in the African continent with social media sharing what's happening in the different countries. And we see a lot of young people being the leadership in pushing people to see, in seeing people to pay attention to what's happening. Looking at the last elections, the NRM primaries, you know, we saw a lot of malpractice. Firsthand, like someone did not have to wait to get to that particular polling station to see it. We saw different individuals give out money. So there are two lines. There's an individual here and another, and then another giving out money, right? So you go to whichever side has handed you something. And we were seeing this, and these are stories that many of us, many of the young people in, you know, right now, like her, we just heard of, we read of, we have read in research or read in different places, but now we see it firsthand. So we are intrigued, we are inspired, right, to fight back, we are inspired to ask questions. We see a lot of breaking down of violation of rights going on in different social media platforms. I cannot underscore what TikTok is doing for young people right now. Young people expressing themselves, young people talking about who they are supporting, young people mobilizing within each other. other.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of what's happening, or what for me I'm observing as a young lawyer who also has interest in how this country is run, who has interest in seeing more young people take positions of power, interact with the older generation and see where Uganda is going next. I think what I'm seeing is a bunch of enthusiastic young people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting there. I'll be returning to you on the future of electoral democracy if we are to go the way we are. But allow me return to Mr. Kwesiga. The national resistance movement has often found itself in a spot of bother, especially when it comes to social media, to the extent that communication itself can be confusing when it favors the government and the president has either posted through X, it is convenient. When other actors use the same platform to speak out on issues that may be pertinent to them, they are often regarded as agents of hate speech. We have absolutely no choice but to ask you this question because you are from the national resistance movement.
Yeah.
How do you see this when you're sitting in these strategy rooms and you guys are trying to, patch up the fact that one person can say the same thing but be wrong while another be right or not be seen to be wrong?
Thank you very much. First, we have an aspect called misinformation. There's misinformation and then there's disinformation.
Yeah.
So we can't walk away from the fact that social media has created journalists and opinion leaders, those that are both professional and unprofessional, and the quality and the nature of the information that they share. Some of it is inaccurate, and the other has far-reaching consequences that they themselves don't even understand or know. So we are at a point in our lives where we are allowing everyone to give an opinion. If we don't curtail that kind of conduct, then the country is bound to sink into anarchy. We are alive to the fact that social media has allowed each and everyone to participate. It has created a sense of inclusion, and if not curtailed and managed well, we will not have any state of governance. We have seen what has happened in some countries across Africa. It starts with a tweet, a small rant on social media, and then it escalates. Before you know it, everyone is doing what they want. So it is fundamental to control some of these things and who is uttering this information. We have the Computer Misuse Act, which has clear guidelines, and we also have the Access to Information Act. So all these coupled together give guidance on how we can utilize these social media avenues for communication. Of course, we can't rule it out that it's the cheapest method of communication and reaching out to a wider spectrum of people. So if we do not really have strong measures to contain this, then everyone's investment is going to be at risk. From the entrepreneur's perspective, for which I speak for, our strength and commitment to the government and the country is based on our investments. So if we don't have safety of investment, then what are we standing for? Social media can trigger and water down everything in a blink of an eye. Some of these people make statements that put every investment at stake. The tourism industry is always limping because of utterances made by the opposition. In a moment they are thinking about a violation of right or any issue at hand, But we cannot have a perfect state because none exists. There's no perfect state. It's a state of constant correction and collective living. We have to live together as a nation. Even families have small disputes, but then social media escalates it beyond, and it puts the entire economy at stake. We would have done much better if some of this information is managed in a better way and the communication is contained to the benefit of the country.
Would I be off the mark if I said that governments, including the administration of the National Resistance Movement across Africa, are grappling with how to deal with social media, and that inability to have a blueprint that is effective causes nervousness that leads into violation of human rights, including just the basic freedom to speak out.
Yeah.
Well, we are in the 21st century and things are happening so fast, extremely dynamic. And the legal framework that we have, as well as the sensitization and education that people have about these tools, is way below the implications that they create. So I wouldn't say we are grappling, we are trying to catch up. The government is doing everything within its powers to do so, and most importantly, to communicate. Because what causes the miscommunication or the inappropriate communication that comes out is also the absence of information. That's why lately you see the President of the Republic of Uganda, the chairman of our party, even uses his social media handles to make some communication. It simplifies and creates a closer reach to the people, so it mitigates the misinformation. So I trust that sooner than later we will have a more robust measure of reaching out to people, which will demystify the misinformation and the wrong information that comes to the public domain using the social media.
The challenges notwithstanding, it's important to acknowledge that the bug has caught just about everybody, including the president, who has been forced into bazookulization. But the National Unity Platform has often been accused of using the advantages of social media to the extreme, and sometimes it boils down to what Mr. Kwesiga talks about, disinformation, the tendency to go into overdrive on and not really minding about the impact of what is said, how it is said, and to who it is told. I don't know whether there is a conversation within the National Unity Platform leaders on how to ensure that the social media flock that are your supporters do not become a loose cannon, especially when using this platform or platforms.
Thank you so much. It's unfortunate that when people start to speak about who is using social media for the wrong reasons, it is the National Unity Platform that is picked up first. Because we have seen on several occasions...
Peculiar branding.
Yes, and you see, we've seen the CDF coming out to threaten our neighboring countries. And no one is talking about that. It's unfortunate that my brother here did not mention anything of that. And we've all seen it. We saw even Mr. Mseven coming out to say, you see, this is not our official platform, it's not an official page that communicates about Uganda, and he came out to apologize, but he still uses it to communicate. So there is selective application of the law and you know, selective criticism that even when they do something wrong, you know, we saw him come out to post, you know, very bad pictures of Eddie Mutwe and claiming a lot of things. We have seen him come out to threaten people, you know, threaten to kill His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. We've seen a lot of you know, attacks that will threaten this country's integrity, but they're not being talked about. But then it is the National Unity Platform that is going to be picked on. We have seen on several occasions so many different people. You know, we saw the fake bombs that were being put out here, and the UPDF came out and said, you know, they were fake bombs. So I don't know between fake bombs and a post on Twitter, which one is going to scare away tourists. So while we are looking at all these issues, we need to internalize them and be realistic. But then also when we speak about the National Unity Platform and how we are using social media, you see the issue is the state is grappling with catching up. That, you know, they are working at a particular wavelength that does not match the wavelength of the young people. See, the state wanted for us to be in a state where we have to wait for mainstream media to go out there, record an abduction, come here, censure it, and give us censored information. But what we are seeing with the current state that we are living in is that there has been room for citizen journalism. We continue to see things as they happen. We saw, you know, we've seen what happened in by-elections. I know that even the state wouldn't have wanted us to know what happened in the NRM primaries. I know they wouldn't have wanted it to come out publicly, how, you know, they were using a lot of money, the bribery and everything that happened. But these are the advantages of social media. So as the National Unity Platform, we have come out clearly on several occasions to state it and say that, you see, young people or whoever is using social media, use it for the right reasons and in the right way. But we are not going to suppress people's freedoms of expression. You're not going to limit people on how they should express themselves and to what extent. As long as it is within the law, then people should be allowed to express themselves. People should be allowed to call out, you know, whatever is not going right in this country. So yes, we do agree there is room for misinformation, there is room for disinformation, but we are not going to suppress people's voices of dissent just to please the state.
Talking about suppressed voices of the people, the advocates and the activists seem to also speak out selectively, especially when it comes to some of these violations that do happen. Why haven't we had, for example, a campaign that is rolled out to address particularly the fact that top government officials do use social media to accost, to character assassinate any other person, but when another person does the same, they are quickly, you know, taken into custody. Why aren't you talking about this?
Oh dear, this is being talked about everywhere. This is being talked about everywhere, and it would be very unfair to say that activists, NGOs, CSOs, groups, citizen, you know, pressure groups are talking about this every day. I think there is a space almost every week talking about election violence, talking about preparation for violence, preparation for elections, talking about how social media is used as a tool by government to, you know, propaganda, to spread propaganda that's sometimes not right, or individuals that belong to particular parties using it to spread propaganda. So I don't think there is selective selective calling out through by the activists and NGOs. I don't think that's right. If anything, we've seen many civil societies and NGOs get bounded up, you know, being
maybe it's
called.
because we know what you are capable of and we're not seeing that form coming through.
You know what we are capable of as civil society.
When it comes to speaking out.
I think civil society is doing that.
We are doing a lot of speaking out.
Their job is the judiciary that chooses to take in particular people and leave other people aside. I think in their defense, that is what I would say.
What we must be alive to is that even the users of social media don't know what they are supposed to use it for.
I don't
So
think
they end up going
so.
overboard.
I don't think so. I
think this is a time for people in the PR space to really come in.
I don't think people
Various
people don't know what to use social media for.
No, we are not using it for what
I
the state
think
wants us
it's
to use
just
it
that
for.
social media visibilizes a lot of violations of rights that sometimes many people may not want to see.
Gentlemen and ladies, I'm afraid I'm out of time, but many thanks for the insights that you have shared with us. This conversation can go on and on, including on social media, no doubt. I'm glad that you made time. Let's now go to Stephen Mbide, who is standing, or rather is talking to us on matters that are related very much to what we've been talking